Earlier this week, Apple took a massive L. It got fined 1.8 billion euros by the EU for banning streaming services like Spotify from telling users how to save money with cheaper options outside the App Store. To make matters worse, their once untouchable stock lost $80 billion in market cap as a result. This was a major wake-up call for Apple, and they did some soul-searching. But unfortunately, they found nothing. Yesterday, Apple doubled down and asserted its dominance over this annoying company that won't go away called Epic Games. It is March 8th, 2024, and you're watching The Code Report. One of the most disruptive forces in big tech right now is the European Union's Digital Markets Act. Its goal is to stop gatekeepers like cloud providers and app stores from abusing their power, and its compliance deadline was yesterday. It affects companies with a market cap exceeding 75 billion euros who also control a core platform service like a search engine, social network, app store, marketplace, cloud, and so on. For one, it requires data portability, allowing users to move to competing services. This has already motivated big clouds like Google and Amazon just the other day to remove egress fees when transferring to a different cloud, and that's a big win for developers. But DMA also requires sideloading of third-party app stores and other software. That means Apple and Google will have a harder time extracting that creamy 30% milk from their in-app purchases cash cows. But Apple was not deterred by these new regulations. They announced a new highly complex fee structure for developers who choose to distribute apps outside of the App Store, like a new core technology fee, which costs 50 cents per install for every app distributed outside of the App Store. This plan was universally criticized. Even FAANG peers like Microsoft and Meta said it sucked. Spotify called it extortion, and Epic Games called it bad faith compliance, or more specifically, a hot garbage horror show. But Epic has had an ongoing beef with Apple for years that started one fateful night back in August 2020. Epic Games introduced a hotfix for Fortnite on iOS that gave players a way to bypass the App Store payment system. This, of course, violated Apple, and Fortnite was removed from the App Store. Epic responded by pointing out the irony in Apple's 1984 ad, then proceeded to file a lawsuit, but eventually lost that suit in 2021. But recently, Apple approved Epic Games' developer account, which means Fortnite could be coming back to iOS. But then yesterday, Apple apparently had a change of heart. Epic's developer account was terminated, which means no Fortnite on iOS. Apple accused Epic Games of egregious breaches to its developer agreements, and said that the courts made it clear that it has the sole discretion to terminate developer accounts. But you might be wondering, what are these egregious violations? Well, Apple cited one of them as this tweet from Tim Sweeney, where basically he says Apple developers create banger products, but their corporate policies are cringe AF. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Apple banned a developer over a mildly critical tweet. However, Apple's move might be illegal under DMA, and the bureaucrats in Belgium are already on the case. As a side note, Sweeney also referenced Apple's recent decision to drop progressive web apps from Safari. Apple was never a fan of PWAs, and what's funny is that they use DMA as an excuse to remove them entirely. In reality though, PWAs are great for consumers and developers, but a threat to the App Store. That's another story entirely, but it really does seem like Apple is speedrunning the destruction of its relationship with developers. Ultimately, I think Apple is trying to make an example out of Epic. Very few developers have the resources of Epic and would die instantly if they were kicked out of the App Store.
I own you. You're my bitch.
And that means you might want to think twice about posting a tweet that's even remotely critical of Apple's policies. I have an Apple developer account myself and pay my $100 annual tribute, and I for one absolutely love Apple's policies. The biggest tragedy in all of this is that if it weren't for people like Tim Sweeney and Epic Games, Apple would still have the largest market cap, and they never would have had to cancel the Apple car. This has been The Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.